I'm Bob Fitzgerald. I'm assistant professor for accounting. I teach most of the, if not all of the in-class accounting classes here at the Smyrna campus. Bob Fitzgerald, assistant professor of accounting. Hi, I'm Bob Fitzgerald. I teach accounting, most of the accounting classes here at the Smyrna campus. I've been here for about 15 years, since I retired from the military in 2007. So I know most of the folks around here, and hopefully get to know some of you all a little better. If you get into the business curriculum, you got to go through me to get to your degree, so good luck for you. My entry into the military is kind of a funny little story. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, we had a draft lottery, and your birthday and the numbers would run from 1 to 365, and the lower numbers then could pretty much figure they were going to have to serve in the military, and if you got a higher number in the draft lottery, it meant go off and do your life and don't worry about it. Well, I have the proud event in my life that I won the draft lottery. My birthday came up number 1 in the year that the lottery was for me, so there was very little doubt that I was going to go in the military. And the way that I could avoid being drafted and do something that I wanted to do would be to go into ROTC. So I went to a university in ROTC and graduated from that university as a second lieutenant back in the 70s. Now, some people might laugh when they say I won that lottery of all lotteries to win that one, but it was the luckiest thing that happened to me. At the time that was going on, I was thinking I was going to go out to the West Coast and be a rock star and get involved in all kinds of craziness out there. The draft lottery forced me into the military, and the 30 years that I spent in the military was the best thing for me, for sure. And when I say I won the lottery, I mean I won the lottery by being able to serve. I was an accounting major in school, and therefore went into the Army Finance Corps. I was responsible for paying soldiers, dealing with all the money that goes into and out of the military, which amounts to a whole lot. And as I progressed through the different ranks, a little bit more responsibility. I finally ended up at the end of my career in Europe for about the last 8 years that I served, and was fortunate enough to visit practically every major European capital, doing inspections of different foreign military sales that we did, so that I got to see a lot of the world. Again, that winning that draft lottery was the best thing that happened to me. It was certainly a great time in my life, enjoying the European experience. My wife would love to move back there, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. But we had a great time there. I retired in 2007 and was fortunate enough to immediately turn over and start teaching accounting here at the Smyrna campus in Motlow, and I've been here ever since. I was the youngest of 4 children. My oldest sister was 14 years older than me. I was born in the early 50s. And because my sister was so much older, she was my primary babysitter. And so in 1956, when I was 3 years old and she was 17, she was way into rock and roll. It was just emerging at the time. Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis and the Everly Brothers, Buddy Holly. And so I got a constant stream of rock and roll music as I was sitting in the car going wherever she was going, listening to the radio in the car. And it gave me a great passion. I love rock and roll music. In fact, my grandmother bought me my first guitar when I was 3 years old. It was as big as I was, and I used to bang on it and sing Elvis Presley songs to my mother's little bridge clubs and coffees that she used to have when I was about 3 years old. And so I kind of caught the bug, and ever since then, I've been pretty much staying with that. I thought when I was getting out of high school and going to college that I was going to go be a rock and roll star, and that was going to be my life until things changed for me and I went into the military. But I never lost my love of playing music. And through my entire 30-year military career, I always made sure I was at least performing myself or maybe grouping up with some other folks and forming bands at the different places that I was stationed. I was stationed in a place called Sinop, Turkey in the late 80s, right on the Black Sea. It was an extinct volcano located our base was on the top of this volcano, and we would listen to the Russian submarines going in and out of the Black Sea at the time. There were only like 500 of us there, no families, just soldiers and seamen and airmen. But we managed to find a few guys who enjoyed music the same way I did, enjoyed the same type of music. And my commander enjoyed us so much, he was a good friend of the ambassador to Turkey. And so when the ambassador to Turkey saw my boss and was talking with him, he said that they had this cultural requirement that the State Department wanted to spread American culture through Turkey, but it cost so much to bring people from America over to Turkey to do this. And my boss said, hey, I've got a rock and roll band that will come and they can play for you and take care of that cultural requirement. So I ended up touring Turkey as a rock and roll guitar player, visiting a whole lot of the sites in Turkey on behalf of the State Department in the band we called the Over the Hill Gang, because we were on top of that hill that I was talking about where we were stationed. That was a great experience for me. The Turkish people loved us, and I felt like I was some kind of special rock star. When I was stationed in Europe, in Germany, towards the end of my career, the same sort of thing happened. There are musicians everywhere, and if you can find them, put them together with a common appreciation of the music that you play. And I was able to form a band there, and as people came and went, their assignments were over and new people came in, I managed to keep our band going there. I was stationed there for 8 years, and we were called American Pie, and we enjoyed being famous in Stuttgart, Germany, and we managed to get ourselves some gigs at other countries nearby. But throughout my military career, I always had my guitar handy and maintained that, so that when I finally retired, the first thing that I wanted to do was open up my own music shop, and decided to do that here in Murfreesboro. Not only were we selling musical instruments and musical accessories, but we also gave lessons. And through the years, I've had quite a few very talented folks, not to mention that Hunter Girl, who was one of the American Idol finalists last year, was one of my students when she was younger, when she was 14 or 15. And I even had another young man who's 16 audition this year, and he made it through the first through levels, but didn't quite get to the to be on the TV show. But they assured him that if he did the same thing next year, that they thought he'd be old enough and ready to do it. So we've had some pretty good fortune working with the youngsters here in the Murfreesboro area with that. In fact, that now is pretty much just lessons that we do, a lesson studio that we do in Murfreesboro. But the time that I'm not here in Smyrna teaching for Motlow, I spend working with young musicians, trying to bring out all their performing abilities and have fun playing music. One of my assignments while I was in the military was teaching at the Army Finance School, and I found that I really enjoyed teaching. And so when I retired from the military, I really wanted to find a university or some kind of secondary school that I could teach accounting, because I just really enjoyed doing it. And fortunately, Motlow was certainly nearby Murfreesboro, where I ended up, and I was fortunate enough to be offered a position here and teach accounting. And I've had several situations where students come into my class with the idea they want to be a major in business and end wanting to be accountants. So somewhere along the line, I've infused a little bit of interest in the accounting field to them. One of my students left here and went to MTSU and ended up being the president of the accounting fraternity there at MTSU. She graduated with high honors, and I'm really proud of her. And there are several students that have moved on to different four-year schools and done well in accounting as a result of what we do here at Motlow to get them in those entry fundamental levels of our course. The best thing about Motlow are the students. My wife is a student at Motlow. She just started classes this semester. But both of us talk about it, that the environment and the atmosphere at Motlow, the people, the students are just special. They are hard workers who are plan on doing better and getting themselves into careers that work for them, but they just seem to be more down to earth. And here at Motlow, things are a little bit more simple than they might be on some of the larger campuses where we get caught up in a lot of things, other things that people kind of remain their feet on the ground here at Motlow and are more conscious and ready to know what it is they want to do and then take care of it as students. So I would say my favorite thing definitely about Motlow are the students that we have here. I think as I look back on it, one of the smartest decisions I ever made was deciding that I wanted to get into teaching after I retired from the military. And Motlow was a perfect fit for me. As I look back on it, the last 15 years that I've spent here, I am so happy when I got out of the military that in addition to the music that I wanted to keep working with, that I wanted to teach accounting at a community college like Motlow, and I'm just so happy that I did that. Right now, it's resulted in a great experience for me working with all the people that I've worked with, and seeing the students learn the material that's not such easy material to learn. To know that I've touched a lot of those people, but also just that I've been able to enjoy myself as a teacher